Trump as he wraps up his royal visit. This morning, President Trump and Queen Elizabeth honor the greatest generation on the eve of that historic D-Day anniversary. While overnight, the president speaks out about the Virginia Beach shooting. What's happening is crazy. Okay, it's crazy. And what he's now saying about the Meghan Markle feud. I hope she enjoys her life. While here at home, the president faces a new fight with his own party over those Mexico tariffs.
Also this morning, the worst flooding in recorded history hitting the heartland right now. The National Guard flying in as entire towns in Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas are swallowed by water. Animals trapped. Now 31 million on alert for more severe weather.
New charges in the Parkland school shooting. The deputy caught on surveillance camera waiting out the rampage, now charged with failing to protect the students, facing the possibility of nearly 100 years behind bars.
The mystery over those vacation tragedies. Another American woman found dead at the same Dominican Republic resort as this couple. The family searching for answers.
The dizzying rescue caught on camera. A helicopter swooping in to save a hiker when the stretcher starts spinning out of control.
Pool scare. Nearly 50 people, most of them children, violently sick from too much chlorine. The so-called freak accident that caused it.
And Game 3. As the NBA Finals hit a fever pitch, will Golden State's top stars be able to take the court for tonight's big showdown?
Live in Times Square, this is Good Morning America.
I'm so excited.
They might call Robin in tonight. Who knows? Good morning, America. Warriors and Raptors 1-1, Game 3 tonight.
They could use you. The Warriors are beat up. They could use some fresh bodies out there. You're going to be at the game. You might as well suit up and get in.
Hey, the older I get, the better I was. Let's put it that way. Thanks for thinking I could. That is later. We're going to begin, though, with the latest from London. President Trump and Queen Elizabeth joining hundreds of veterans at a ceremony to commemorate the 75th anniversary of D-Day, as the president makes headlines with a new interview overnight. Our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, he starts us off from Buckingham Palace with the latest. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Robin. What a scene it is in Portsmouth, which was one of the main staging areas for the D-Day invasion 75 years ago. Queen Elizabeth, the last world leader who was an active participant in that war, a living witness. President Trump right by her side, but even on this solemn occasion, it shadowed a bit. The president's own comments about the royal family and other things stirring a bit of controversy. This morning, as hundreds of veterans are gathering to commemorate the 75th anniversary of D-Day, they're also waiting to see a show of solidarity between President Trump and Queen Elizabeth. But the president also had to answer for his tiff with another member of the royal family in an interview on Good Morning Britain with host and Celebrity Apprentice winner Piers Morgan.
Do you think Meghan Markle's nasty or not?
No. I said, wow, I didn't know she was nasty. I wasn't referring to her, she's nasty. I said she was nasty about me. And essentially, I didn't know she was nasty about me. So I said, but you know what? She's doing a good job. I hope she enjoys her life.
The American-born Duchess of Sussex is on maternity leave, and she didn't cross paths with President Trump during his visit here after he called her nasty when an interviewer told him Markle publicly criticized him back in 2016.
As misogynistic as Trump is and so vocal about it.
The president was also put on the spot about his stance on climate change, an issue he and Prince Charles are at odds over. The president said he and Charles had a great conversation.
He wants to make sure future generations have climate that is good climate as opposed to a disaster. And I agree.
And while he wouldn't say whether he believes in climate change, he notes he's noticed a change.
I believe that there's a change in weather, and I think it changes both ways. Don't forget, it used to be called global warming. Now it's actually called extreme weather, because with extreme weather, you can't miss.
And as this trip winds down, the president's also looking back at a major issue in light of the latest shooting tragedy in Virginia Beach.
I mean, nobody's talked about silencers very much. I'm going to, seriously look at it. I don't love the idea of it. I don't like the idea. What's happening is crazy. Okay, it's crazy.
Those are the issues and controversies of today, but that scene in Portsmouth, there's something timeless about it. President Trump, in his remarks, quoting a prayer that was written and read by President Franklin Roosevelt on the day of the D-Day invasion. The solidarity between Britain and America remains. That's what this trip is about. George?
And the president heading to Normandy tomorrow. Okay, Terry, thanks very much. Back here at home, president facing mounting pressure from his own party over his plan to impose tariffs on Mexican imports. Senate Republicans now promising a vote to block the plan, which they are calling a tax on American consumers. Here's GOP leader Mitch McConnell.
Well, there is not much support in my conference for tariffs, that's for sure. Look, I think it's safe to say you've talked to all of our members. We're not fans of tariffs. We're still hoping that this can be avoided.
Our senior congressional correspondent Mary Bruce joins us now from Capitol Hill. Mary, this is the most serious revolt yet from Senate Republicans.
Yeah, George, look, the president is used to Republicans here on the Hill standing by him, and now he is facing serious blowback like he's never really seen before. The message from Republicans here on the Hill is loud and clear. Do not do this. And if the president does go ahead and impose these tariffs, well, then they stand ready to block him. Even some of the president's top allies are publicly blasting this move. We heard from Senator Ted Cruz. He says the president is playing a game of chicken with Mexico, and he says there's no reason for his constituents back in Texas to pay the price for a massive new tax. Now, Republicans I've talked with are still holding out hope that all of this can be avoided. Today at the White House, the vice president and secretary of state will be sitting down with Mexican officials to try and hammer something out. But George, it's still not clear what exactly Mexico needs to do, what steps they need to take to stop this migration in order to stave off these tariffs. And the president is making it pretty clear that he plans to move ahead with this come Monday.
He has sent mixed signals on that. He says he hopes there's an agreement, but he thinks it's more likely that the tariffs will be imposed. Meanwhile, on another front, the White House stonewall against testimony on having anything to do with the Mueller report continues. It's deepening.
Yeah, George, there are now 2 more people that we can add to the list of White House officials who are not complying with Democrats' requests. The White House has now instructed the president's former communications director, Hope Hicks, and the former chief of staff to White House counsel, Ann Donaldson, not to comply with Democrats' subpoena. Hope Hicks, of course, was a key figure by the president's side throughout much of the campaign and during several key moments during his first year in office. She has turned over some documents related to the campaign, but the administration says these subpoenas should have been directed directly to the White House.
Mary Bruce, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, thank you, George. Now to that major development in the Parkland school shooting. The deputy who was caught on surveillance camera standing outside during the rampage while 17 people were killed has now been arrested and charged. ABC's Victor Oquendo joined us from Parkland, Florida with more. Good morning, Victor.
Good morning, Michael. That former deputy is still in jail this morning, facing 11 criminal charges for what the Florida Department of Law Enforcement is calling inaction that costs lives. Disgraced former Broward Sheriff's Deputy Scott Peterson facing charges this morning following a 14-month internal investigation highlighting his alleged inaction during last year's shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. Inside, students taking cover from the gunfire. Outside, Peterson, the school resource officer, hearing the shots.
I think we got shots fired. Possible shots fired. 1,200 buildings.
Surveillance video shows him taking position outside, but never entering the building. Florida's Department of Law Enforcement says former Deputy Peterson did absolutely nothing to mitigate the MSD shooting. There can be no excuse for his complete inaction and no question that his inaction cost lives. 17 teachers and students were killed, 17 more injured.
He chose to do nothing. He chose to go hide behind the concrete pillar for 48 minutes. He's no longer a police officer, and he's dirt to me.
Peterson is charged with 7 counts of child neglect, 3 counts of culpable negligence, and 1 count of perjury. Overnight, his lawyers calling the charges unprecedented, adding Mr. Peterson was not criminally negligent in his actions, as no police officer has ever been prosecuted for his or her actions in responding to an active shooter incident. But some survivors, like Kyle Kashuv, are calling the arrest justice.
It was his job, it was his responsibility, and he failed us all.
A sergeant who was the first supervisor here at the school the day of the shooting was also fired for neglect of duty. If convicted on all charges, Scott Peterson is facing more than 96 years in prison. His lawyer said they would vigorously defend all those charges. Robin?
Many are watching to see what happens, Victor. Thank you. Now to new concerns about the flooding emergency in the heartland. Entire towns underwater in Arkansas and Missouri, and now millions are bracing for even more rain as rivers rise to record levels. Ginger, of course, tracking it all. Good morning, Ginger.
Robin, we've seen so many heartbreaking images the last couple of weeks. This one really struck me. You've got the cow and then its calves right there trying to seek refuge from the water. The calves would obviously be underwater, so that's the only place they could go. A lot of people are talking about their farms being impacted largely. And you see, of course, that was in Missouri, along the Missouri River, where they've already seen peak, and they're seeing it this morning. Then Faulkner County, Arkansas, where they're supporting the Lolly Levee, another area that has seen record levels along that river. And in the Mississippi River, Clarksville, Missouri, quickly They are within a foot, or were this week, of their record level of the 1993 floods. Quickly, Houston this morning, Galveston, Lake Jackson. Watch out, you could get up to 10 inches of rain, which would cause more flooding. George.
Does not stop. Ginger, thanks very much. We're going to go to Utah now, where nearly 50 people, most of them children, are sick after being exposed to too much chlorine in a pool. Some of them fell violently ill. Diane Macedo here with the details. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. So an investigation is now underway after dozens of people had to be hospitalized. Some even fell unconscious, and police say it was all due to a malfunctioning pool pump.
Possibility of multiple patients suffering from chlorine inhalation.
This morning, a freak accident at a Utah pool.
We just saw lots of kids outside, nervous, crying, looking for their parents, trying to kind of figure out what's going on, and a lot of kids coughing.
Nearly 50 people, mostly children, violently ill after a pump malfunctioned, releasing a large amount of chlorine into the water. Police say the pump stopped circulating water, allowing chlorine to build up. When it started working again, the extra chlorine turned to gas.
She said as they were swimming, they saw yellow clouds kind of pass them in the water, and then they heard the whistle to hurry and get out.
Because chlorine can be toxic, officers quickly evacuated the pool. 26 people, ranging from small children to adults, were transported to the hospital with symptoms including bloody noses, coughing, and vomiting.
There was even some reports of some children being in and out of consciousness.
As the summer season kicks off, the CDC says pool chemical injuries make up almost 5,000 hospital ER visits each year. Nearly half of those patients under 18.
And police say they don't believe this was intentional at all, just a failure of equipment. They also say they expect no significant long-term injury. So everyone in this incident is expected to eventually be okay.
That's good news.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Diane. And now we're going to move on to new developments in the search for that missing mother of 5. Police are now focusing on a trash plant near the area where her estranged husband was spotted after she disappeared. ABC's Eva Pilgrim is in New Canaan, Connecticut with more. Good morning to you, Eva.
Good morning, Michael. It's been almost 2 weeks since Jennifer DeLose vanished after dropping off her kids at school, and investigators have come to this area multiple times, bringing dogs right along this stretch, scouring the woods, hoping that they can pick up a scent that will give them some sort of clue. Their attention now focusing on that trash plant in Hartford. Police revealing in court documents evidence against her estranged husband and his live-in girlfriend. Surveillance from the night Jennifer disappeared allegedly shows Fotis DeLose throwing away multiple garbage bags near that plant. And police say his girlfriend, Michelle Troconis, was with him, and that the evidence detectives later recovered tested positive for Jennifer's blood. This morning, Troconis is out on bond. Fotis remains behind bars, both facing charges for evidence tampering and hindering the prosecution, Michael.
And Eva, Jennifer's mother is caring for those 5 children. Is that right?
That's correct, Michael. And actually, Jennifer's mother has now filed for custody of those children, asking a judge that even if he's able to get out on bond, that those children remain in her care, Michael.
All right, thank you so much, Eva. Just a tragic situation all the way around. George?
Okay, Michael, now to that heart-stopping rescue of a hiker was caught on camera. There you see the 74-year-old woman being airlifted in a stretcher when all of a sudden, watch that stretcher just starts to spin out of control. Gio Benitez here with the story. Good morning, Gio.
Good morning, George. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, the fire department says the line attached to that stretcher was supposed to stop the spin, but it clearly didn't. Then it broke altogether. Instead, the rescue looked more like a terrifying thrill ride.
This morning, questions into what should have been a smooth rescue gone horribly wrong. A 74-year-old injured hiker rescued off a mountain in what firefighters call a screamer suit. But watch as that suit starts to spin uncontrollably. As it gets closer to the chopper, it starts going back down again. When it goes back up, it's now moving in every direction. And when rescuers still can't control it, the suit starts spinning at a terrifying speed. This morning, the Phoenix Fire Department saying that in the more than 200 times they've used this hoist, spinning has happened only twice.
As the basket comes up and it nears the helicopter, the basket will start to interact with the rotor wash of the helicopter. And that's when it tends to spin. It wants to windmill.
The pilot saying he tried to correct the spin.
Once we got the forward flight, the spin got quite a bit less to the point where they were safely able to bring the patient up to the aircraft.
Officials say they're always trying to improve the program and immediately rushed the woman to a local trauma center for evaluation.
And we know that the woman had originally hurt her face and head when she fell during that hike, but officials insist that spin did not cause any additional damage, just dizziness, but the fear. Maybe no physical damage, but the fear.
It looks horrible to me.
Right. Thanks for bringing that to us, Gio. Now the countdown to the NBA Finals. Game 3 is tonight. The series, as you know, tied at 1 game apiece. And this time the Warriors get to play on their home court for the first time in the series. But 2 of the best players are battling injuries. TJ Holmes already on the court there in Oakland with more. Good morning, TJ.
Good morning to you, Robin. And look at that thing. 2 feet tall, 15.5 pounds, layered in 24-karat gold. Oh, and it's made by Tiffany. Yes, the Larry O'Brien Trophy. This is what they're fighting for. The Toronto Raptors, Golden State Warriors, going to be going at it here in Game 3. The Warriors are very much banged up, but they're also motivated, knowing this is going to be one of their final games ever in Oakland and in Oracle Arena.
The hottest ticket in town is also the hottest ticket in the history of the NBA Finals. $101,015. That's how much someone paid for 2 courtside tickets to Game 4 of the NBA Finals at Oracle Arena. That's a price per seat record. And for tonight's Game 3, 2 tickets went for $93,000. Fans know this is it. The final games at Oracle before the Warriors move to their new billion-dollar digs across the bay in San Francisco. After 47 years here, the Warriors want to give Oakland the best parting gift imaginable.
I think this building has been very special. You know, not often do you get the opportunity, you know, to kind of close out an era in the building within a run that we're currently in right now.
But if the Warriors plan to leave the town one more trophy before moving to San Francisco, they might need a little luck and some really good doctors. The banged-up Warriors, already without superstar Kevin Durant, might also have to take the court without Klay Thompson.
It just starts to bother him more and more.
Injured in Game 2.
Yeah, as I said the other night, Klay's always going to say he's ready to go. And what we'll have to determine is that a risk?
Thompson has never missed a playoff game in his career, and he practiced with the team Tuesday.
It'll be a game-time decision, but for me personally, it'd be hard to see me not playing.
So Klay said he is going to play, but right after, he said that right after he was injured Game 2. But Robin, did you hear what the Coach Kerr said? He said, yeah, Klay could be half dead and he'd say he's going to play. So you can't really trust the player sometime. They're going to make the best decision they can for not just tonight, but the future of the series about his injury.
Yeah, I think we're going to see him there on the court. Looking forward to joining you there. But, you know, looking at those ticket prices, I might be out there hawking and selling my ticket. Make a little cash. But you can keep yours,
Look,
TJ.
The NBA will come down on you.
I'm just kidding.
The NBA will come down on you if you're out there, Robin.
We'll never think about it because it's priceless to be there, especially with Oracle, one of the last games that are going to be there. See you soon, TJ. Thank you. And you can see Game 3 of the NBA Finals tonight right here on ABC. Tip-off at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Following a lot of other stories this morning, including some new developments in that a vacation tragedy. Another American woman found dead in the Dominican Republic at the same resort from the same cause as this couple right here.
And what's next for Jeopardy James? We're going to talk about that, but first let's go back to Ginger.
You know, I've showed you so many flooding images, but this actually just happened within a couple of hours yesterday. This would be a flash flood incident in Lakeville, Minnesota. So just south of Minneapolis, this is what the roads looked like, just covered in water. There were 128 severe storm reports, including 85-mile-per-hour gusts, and there will be severe weather today, much of the mid-Atlantic into the southeast. Your local weather 30 seconds away. First, though, the stormy cities, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
We bought a house in a neighborhood with a lot of other young couples. Then we noticed something strange. Oh, could you make me a burger?
Poof, you're a burger.
Everyone acts like their parents.
You have a tattoo.
Yes.
Fun. Do you not work?
So what kind of mower you got, Seth? I don't know. I have some kid comes over. We pay him to do it.
But it's not all bad. Someone even showed us how we can save money by bundling home and auto with Progressive.
Progressive can't protect you from becoming your parents, but we can protect your home and auto.
Keep a watchful eye on the sky today. There could be some isolated strong to severe storms after about 2-3 o'clock this afternoon, so your morning generally dry. Temperatures today topping out in the mid-80s. 87 tomorrow, still high humidity, maybe a passing storm. Your Friday, Saturday, as we get into Celebrate Fairfax, lower humidity. It's going to feel pretty good. And then we're back to rain chances after about 2 to 3 p.m. on Sunday. Sunday's high, 82 degrees. And then Monday could see a passing storm in the afternoon.
GMA rolls on in a moment. We'll be back.
This is Houston, Texas, the city with the most millennials living at home.
We all live together here. It's myself, my dad, and my husband, and our 3 dogs.
We hear a lot about millennials, but did you know that more than 1 in 4 are caring for a loved one?
As the years went on, she took